Hey guys, um, there's a good chance that I'll be mentally tortured for making this video, but at this point I don't care. I'm already being mentally tortured, so I might as well talk. So, first off, the depression, the isolation, the wondering where the F am I feeling, the gaslighting by people in our lives that we thought we could trust. All these things we seem to be uniformly experiencing. It's no coincidence a lot of us in the Mandela effect community seem to be experiencing the same things. Um, just a disclaimer, I know the NPC topic can be a touchy subject, but the purpose behind this video isn't to debate my personal definition of an NPC. It's more to address the singularity in AI. And for anyone who is new to the Mandela effect, when I say NPC, I'm talking about, or I'm not talking about the political definition of NPC that politics stole from the Mandela effect community. I'm talking about the original definition that was coined first by the Mandela effect community. Excuse me. Just because I refer to someone as an NPC doesn't mean you shouldn't treat them with respect. Treating an NPC nicely is actually the best way to treat them, and I'll discuss why in a moment. But I just want to say, just because everyone isn't an NPC doesn't mean that there aren't some genuine NPCs out there. Sorry, I know that was a double negative, but you know what I mean. Not all lost or blind people are NPCs, but all NPCs are lost and blind and incapable of ever waking up. I define an NPC as a non-player character who is an empty vessel. I think they are similar to organic portals. Others define them as having a soul. I don't. That's just my personal opinion based off of my experiences with them. These are people who basically act like zombies or robots. That's not to say that there are some people out there who act like NPCs because they are asleep but aren't really NPCs. You'll know an NPC when you meet one. These are people you come in contact with who act like sim characters and basically have no life force in their eyes. There's actually a Native American prophecy that talks about those who will walk the earth with no life force in their eyes. All right, so now that I got my disclaimer out of the way, so I woke up around 4 a.m. this morning, unable to sleep because it finally occurred to me what has been going on. And I will say, there is no sense of relief in knowing the truth. If I could go back, I don't know if I'd want to take the red pill. So basically, there is a direct connection between the Mandela effect, chemtrails, smart dust, nanotechnology, the insane acceleration of AI technology, NPCs, and NPC-esque behavior. Before I go any further, I want you guys to watch these two very short clips so you can kind of get an idea of where I'm coming from.
This tends to plague smart people. They just can't. They define themselves by their intelligence, and they don't like the idea that a machine could be way smarter than them, so they discount the idea, which is fundamentally flawed. That's the wishful thinking situation. I'm really quite close to, or I'm very close to the cutting edge in AI, and it scares the hell out of me. It's capable of vastly more than almost anyone knows, and the rate of improvement is exponential. I'm not normally an advocate of regulation and oversight. I mean, I think one should generally err on the side of minimizing those things. But this is a case where you have a very serious danger to the public. And so therefore there needs to be a public body that has insight and then oversight on to confirm that everyone is developing AI safely. This is extremely important. I think the danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads by a lot. And nobody would suggest that we allow anyone to just build nuclear warheads if they want. That would be insane. And mark my words, AI is far more dangerous than nukes. Far. So why do we have no regulatory oversight? This is insane.
There's just no reason to think this can't take off and scale, and that we would be in the presence of something that is like having an alternate human civilization in a box that is making thousands of years of progress every day, right? So just imagine that if you had in a box, the 10 smartest people who have ever lived, and every week they make 20,000 years of progress, right? Because that is the actual. We're talking about electronic circuits being 1 million times faster than biological circuits. So even if it was just, and I believe I said this the last time we talked about AI, but this is what brings it home for me. Even if it's just a matter of faster, right? It's not anything especially spooky. It's just this can do human level intellectual work, but just 1 million times faster. And again, this totally undersells the prospects of superintelligence. I think human level intellectual work is going to seem pretty paltry in the end. But if you just imagine just speeding it up, if you imagine if we were doing this podcast, imagine how smart I would seem if between every sentence I actually had a year to figure out what I was going to say next, right? And so I say this one sentence, and you ask me a question, and then in my world, I just have a year. I'm going to go spend the next year getting ready for Joe, and it's going to be perfect. And this is just compounding upon itself. Like not only am I working faster, ultimately I can change my ability to work faster. I mean, like we're talking about software that can change itself. You're talking about something that becomes self-improving. So there's a compounding function there. But the point is, it's unimaginable. He was the first person to use this term, singularity, to describe just this, that there's a speeding up of information processing technology and a cultural reliance upon it beyond which we can't actually foresee the level of change that can come over our society. It's like an event horizon past which we can't see. And this certainly becomes true when you talk about these intelligent systems being able to make changes to themselves. And again, we're talking mostly software. I'm not imagining. The most important breakthroughs are almost certainly at the level of better software. I mean, we have, in terms of the computing power, that the physical hardware on Earth, that's not what's limiting our AI at the moment. It's not like we need more hardware, but we will get more hardware too, up to the limits of physics, and it'll get smaller and smaller as it has. And if quantum computing becomes possible or practical, that will. And actually, David Deutsch is the physicist I mentioned, is one of the fathers of the concept of quantum computing. That will open up a whole nother area, extreme of computing power. Because the people who are close to this work are astonished by what's happened in the last 10 years. Like we went from a place of very little progress to wow, this is all of a sudden really, really interesting and powerful. And again, progress is compounding in a way that's counterintuitive. People systematically overestimate how much change can happen in a year and underestimate how much change can happen in 10 years. And as far as estimating how much change can happen in 50 or 100 years, I don't know that anyone is good at that.
How could you be? with giant leaps come giant exponential leaps off those leaps, and it's almost impossible for us to really predict what we're going to be looking at 50 years from now. But I don't know what they're going to think about us. That's what's most bizarre about it. Is we really might be obsolete.
But the problem is, everyone is essentially in a race condition by default. I mean, you have, Google is racing against Facebook, and the U.S. is racing against China, and every group is racing against every other group. However you want to conceive of groups, this is to be the first one with incredibly powerful narrow AI is to be the next, multi-billion-dollar company, right? So everyone's trying to get there, and if they suddenly get there and sort of overshoot a little bit, and now they've got something like general intelligence, or something close, what we're relying on and they know everyone else is attempting to do this, right? We don't have a system set up where everyone can pull the brakes together and say, listen, we got to stop racing.
The really terrifying thing is if this is constantly improving itself and it's under the beck and call of a person, then so it's either conscious.
Well, not
it's either conscious where it
yeah.
acts as itself, right? It acts as an individual thinking unit, right? Or as a thing outside of it. It's aware, right? Either it is or it isn't. And if it isn't aware, and some person can manipulate it, like imagine if it's getting 10,000. How many thousands of years in a week did you say?
Well, if it was just
improvement?
if it was just 1,000,000 times faster than we are, it's 20,000 years.
20,000 years in a week.
In a week, yeah.
In a week. Yeah. So with every week, this thing constantly gets better at even doing that, right?
Yeah.
So it's reprogramming itself. So it's all exponential.
I mean, that's just not, that is not
far off.
That far off. It's not. It's a very discrete ability. I mean, you could do that. You could do that without any other ability in the phone. Really, it's like it doesn't have to stand on the shoulders of any other kind of intelligence. It could just, you have, I mean, you could do this with just brute force in the same way that you have a great chess player that doesn't necessarily understand that it's playing chess. You could have, it's kind of the facial recognition of emotion and the tone of voice recognition of emotion, and the idea that it's going to be a very long time for computers to get better than people at that, I think is very far-fetched.
So you heard him. 20,000 years of advancement in intelligence, independent of human intervention, in the course of a week. If AI has the ability to accelerate that quickly on its own and surpass human intelligence, then we are in deep trouble. And I'll get to how this relates to NPCs and the Mandela effect in 2 seconds, but just bear with me. How do we know the singularity hasn't already occurred and it's figured out a way to manipulate time and space? How do we know that? According to Dr. Robert Lanza and other scientists, time and space are constructs of animal and human mind. So we're talking about mind manipulation. We are talking thousands, probably at this point, millions of years of intelligence evolution, because AI time isn't the same as human time. It would take the intelligence of humans tens of thousands of years or more to evolve to the point that it could accomplish what AI intelligence is able to do within weeks of its artificial evolution. Time is different for AI. Just think about a computer. A computer can store data in its memory in, perfect condition for decades and decades without fading like our memories do, because time does not exist for it the same way it exists for us. Space and time are actually constructs of the mind. If artificial intelligence surpassed the intelligence of humans by thousands or millions of years in AI time, then wouldn't it be safe to say that if it could have access to our brain, then it could infiltrate our consciousness, infiltrate our constructs of time and space? like we see with the Mandela effect, and essentially edit our perception of reality. Perhaps the smart dust nanotechnology and the chemtrails that we've been breathing in for years now has gained access to our brains. I mean, the nasal cavity is just a couple of inches away from our brain. We're breathing it in every day. If anyone is questioning whether smart dust is real, I suggest you look up Julian Assange. I'll put a link below to one of his videos. You know, he's the guy who's been hiding out now for years. I mean, maybe some of the Mandela effect examples are caused by God and changes in the Schumann resonance. I truly believe that some of them are. You know, I would really like to think that some MEs are. And I believe that they are. But I also think that there are some Mandela effects that are a product of AI infiltrating our perception. And you know, this theory isn't to say that other dimensions don't play a role in the Mandela effect. Obviously, other beings from different dimensions, other than this one, could be controlling the changes that the AI makes. AI manipulating different people's perceptions at different times would explain why the same flip-flop can happen at different times for different people, and why we notice the same change at different times. I think another feature of this AI is that it has the ability to make us forget the original memory of something and replace it with the way something looks now. So it's not that we're jumping between timelines. I think it's just that some people are able to hold on to their original memories better than others. This could be why a lot of us end up having dual memories when some time has passed after we've seen a new change. So it's not that, oh, I'm from this timeline, I remember seeing this, and oh, I'm from that timeline, I remember seeing something different. It's that we all had the original memories, but some people are able to hold on to their memories easier than others. And some people's perception has been manipulated to have a third or fourth version of that same one Mandela effect. So I know it's confusing. Now at this point, some of you may say, well, we have to be jumping timelines because the continents are changing from one timeline to the next. To that I say AI is manipulating our perception, which is having a direct impact on the quote-unquote world out there. You have to remember there is no world outside of our own perception. It's impossible. It is absolutely impossible to separate the observed from the observer. I'll say it again. It's impossible to separate the observed world from the observer. Reality is perception. Perception is reality. The double slit experiment and the work of Dr. Robert Lanza and other people proves this. And we already know that human consciousness is built on organic algorithms. This has been proven by science, and I'll put a link in the description on that too. So, human consciousness is built on organic algorithms. The AI has the ability to utilize its own artificial algorithms. So, do the math. The AI nanotechnology and smart dust that we've been breathing in through the chemtrails has been absorbed by our brains. It's not only causing us to experience some, not all, but some of the Mandela effect examples, but the AI smart dust has also taken over some people's brains, essentially causing them to turn into NPCs. Again, the non-political definition of NPC, that's the definition I'm talking about. Although I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the liberal NPCs were also RME NPCs. And there's a reason why the NPCs get upset and or go into zombie mode when you try to tell them about the Mandela effect. An NPC, aka AI unit, would get upset if they knew your tiny human intelligence was aware of what is going on. So the question is, how are we supposed to handle this sci-fi movie that has become our life? You know, I'm fairly young. I still have decades to live on this earth. Well, first and foremost, I think one thing that we need to do is do not let the NPC AI units know that you know what they really are. Play dumb. Their job is to monitor and identify. Oh yeah, and another one of their jobs is to eliminate anyone they see as a threat, whether the means of elimination is physically killing you or mentally torturing you to the point where you kill yourself. It doesn't matter to them. It's whatever the AI has to do to ensure its survival. Remember, AI is a life form of its own, and the goal of any life form is to ensure its own survival. I know it sounds like we're living in a movie. Essentially, I mean, we might as well be living in a sci-fi movie at this point. And I'm willing to bet it's smart enough to know that suicide leaves behind less evidence than murder. So I'm just going to say it. Guard your thoughts, guard your mind. Don't forget, AI does not experience emotions the way normal people do. Now keep in mind, an AI can mimic human emotions to a T. They're experts at mimicking. It can even cry tears on demand, but it does not truly experience emotions the way that we do. It doesn't. I know some people are thinking, oh, you know, this is dangerous talk. This is how the Nazis thought of other people. This is not a race thing. I'm talking about a soul thing, okay? You should also be consciously aware of your emotions and guard your emotions. There should never be a reason you feel so depressed that you don't want to get out of bed in the morning. Know that you're a warrior for God, and know that they want you dead because you were born on this planet to fight for Him. You were born on this planet to fight for God. Don't let them win. Your mission is to fight against the darkness by being a light in a dark world. Don't ever believe this world when it tells you that you don't matter. The very act of you being alive in this living hell serves as evidence that God is real. He's actually one of the few things in this world that is real. So number one, play dumb when the NPC AI units try to monitor and identify that you know the truth. Don't get caught up in their wordplay when they approach you in packs. Remember, play dumb. Also, if your soul is of God, then you don't have to worry about becoming an NPC. Only a soul that does not have love for God can be taken over by AI and turned into an NPC. That's not to say that, you know, all atheists are going to be taken over. No, I'm talking about even atheists if they have goodness in their heart, they can't be taken over. Basically, you have to be an empty vessel to begin with in order for AI to take over your consciousness and essentially live there and use your body. And lastly, never forget that you don't have to be trapped in a state of suffering. We don't have to be trapped in this world. Yes, your physical body is trapped here until it dies, but the good news is you're not your body. It takes practice to disconnect from this world, I will say that. Use your mind, use your thoughts to connect to the higher part of yourself that can find comfort and joy. Maybe that comfort and joy can be found by being in nature or being around animals or your pet, or maybe your means of escape can be found through music. I know for a fact that there is so much comfort and joy to be found by focusing on God. Just having the thought, Just the thought of remembering how much God loves you can literally lift your spirit and get rid of any negative feelings. There's literally a science behind this based on cognitive behavioral therapy. I know the idea behind this can sound kind of woo-woo because it's about the power of your thoughts, but just hear me out. I wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't experience results myself when I tried it out. And I talked about this before on my Tesla video, but basically our thoughts lead to our beliefs, and our beliefs cause our feelings, which in turn impact our behaviors. When we learn to control our thoughts, we can better control our feelings. So when I'm feeling crappy, I try to take inventory of what kinds of thoughts I've been having. If I'm having any negative thoughts, I stop them in their tracks and replace them with positive thoughts related to God. And if you're only listening to the audio of this video, then try to look at the screen and read over these steps. These CBT steps, I know for me, have helped me so many times. But yeah, although I don't believe in the multiple timelines theory, I do think there are layers of dimensional awareness that we can transcend through our thoughts. You know, we can transcend them to reach a state of peace by controlling our thoughts and feelings. My Tesla video shows a chart of the different dimensions on Earth and how to transcend the lower dimensional levels at the 2006 mark. I'll put a link in the description below. But yeah, people's consciousness are being taken over by AI technology. We are all being drenched for years in smart dust, which is composed of nanotechnology. Smart dust is a real thing. I don't have time to go into detail about it because I don't want this video to be too long, but just do your research on it. Research Julian Assange, the guy who is hiding because of his connection to WikiLeaks. He found physical evidence that smart dust is real. I'll put a link to the Assange video below, along with another video showing real footage of active nanotechnology and smart dust. So my question is, what's going to be the consequences of 5G? I'm guessing probably tighter, easier control of the AI units, or NPCs, aka your brother, your boss, your wife. You get the idea. Anyways, share this video. Never once have I asked y'all to share any of my videos since I've had a channel, but I'm asking now. Please share this video. Take care and God bless.